First off, let me kind of take care of some logistics. Welcome to the Employee Financial Wellness Roundtable. Are you at the right room? Okay. Good to have you here. I'm Ken Carrig, and I'm the Chief Human Resource Officer for SunTrust, and I'm also on the Southeast Board for Operation Hope. So it's really my pleasure to be able to jumpstart our session here today. We may run tight on chairs, it looks like, so there's some healthy standing in the back that can probably work for us. So as we look at, there probably is a place right there.
Yeah, I see something back on.
Okay. So as participants in the global forum, you as attendees probably know that the number one stress for Americans is money. Not health concerns, more than family concerns, more than job concerns. Number one major concern around stress is money. And so in today's roundtable session, what we're going to try to do is provide you with a framework that we believe the workplace or employers can do a better job of creating a platform for their employees, their teammates, to better understand the elements of financial stress and how to achieve financial confidence. And the good news to me is I think a lot of employers are already focused on employee well-being overall, but my belief is there needs to be even greater attention to that in the financial well-being and building financial confidence. And so in my 35 years in the profession, and you're probably looking at me thinking, gosh, he seems younger than that. But as I look at really my 35 years, the HR function, the total rewards function, and employers, I think we've missed the opportunity to really focus on the teammate, on the employee, and focus on reducing the number one cause of our employees' stress, which is money management and how do you work with that. So our session today, we're going to have four kind of buckets of discussions. And the first, we're going to have Drew Egan from SunTrust, who's going to start out and just kind of level set, provide a foundation around the stresses of finance and what's happening with Americans today. We'll then have Catherine Bruni from SunTrust join us, and Catherine's going to give us an overview on the current best practice around SunTrust. Listen to this title now here, SunTrust Financial Fitness Program for Teammates. It's not a great title, but I'm going to tell you it's a great program, and we're going to share that best practices with you. And then we have Rob Webb from Hyatt Hotels, who's going to share with us some novel approaches that they're working on and exploring for helping to achieve financial well-being for their employees. So I'm excited about the sessions. After we complete our overview, we're going to turn it back over to you and do some brainstorming as to how can we accelerate this journey. So if you're ready, we're ready. So Drew, let's get started.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Ken. Very excited to be here. Thrilled, really. I love personal finance. As Ken mentioned, I work with SunTrust, a teammate there. And I work with the employee financial well-being and finance education in general. And I just love compound interest and all that personal finance stuff. It just gets me going. I really am so excited to be here today. But I'd like to start with a question for all of you. And that question is, how well do you understand personal finance? In other words, if you had to grade yourself on your knowledge about money, what grade would you give yourself? Now, you don't have to answer. I asked the question a couple years ago in Jacksonville, Florida, and a guy in the back row immediately was like, F. And I was like, whoa, this is not an AA meeting, but we're excited that you're excited to be here. But I think most of us know that nearly half of Americans don't give themselves a very good grade when it comes to money. C, D, or F is the grade we're giving ourselves. And it's interesting. There's a lot of stats on that. And I know the people in this room, in this conference today, you know a lot about financial stress and how money impacts our lives. Instead of testing your knowledge today on personal finance, I want to see how much you know about stress in America. when it comes to finances. So I'm going to give you 3 statistics right here about financial stress, and I'll give you just 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes to turn to your table and see if you can figure out the answer to these 3 statistics. First of all, money is the top source of stress in America for how many of the last 8 years? The next one, regardless of income, what percent of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck? Is it 40%, 62%, or 76%? And then the last one, how many American workers say financial stress is their most common source of stress? Okay, turn to your tables. We'll give you more time to chat and get to know each other more later, but for about 60 seconds, what do you think those numbers are? Take a minute and figure that out. All right, let's come back together. I said I'd only give you about 60 seconds. Let's see how you did. All right, you ready for the answers? So in the last 8 years, how many years has finance has been the number one stress in America? 7. Close. Nice try. Okay, next one. Regardless of income, 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, if I can highlight that one for just a minute, isn't that interesting? 76%, that's a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck. That's a tough spot to be in. But the crazy thing about that statistic, this is my favorite statistic when it comes to financial stress, the regardless of income part. Isn't that crazy? If you're like me and a lot of us, we think, man, if I could just make this much money, then all my financial worries would be solved. But what happens when we increase our income? We spend it right out the door, right? It's so easy to stay paycheck to paycheck. We've got to change that, and we can change that. And we'll get more into that today. Last number, 7 out of 10. 7 in both spots. Oh, there we go. 7 out of 10 Americans say financial stress is their number one cause of stress. Here's some other interesting statistics. When it comes to generations, Generation X, Generation Y, employees are the ones that are saying that finances are a distraction at work, more so than even our baby boomers who are maybe stressed about retiring. And 1 in 5 employees skipped work in the last year to address a financial problem. So no doubt about it, finances are a big stress in our society. That stress spills over into the workforce, and employers can make a difference. Employers can do something about that. Gallup recently found that 40% of employees are asking for help. They want help in achieving financial security. 6% feel they're receiving any help from their employer. So interesting. And nearly 90% of 250 large companies or employers said that they wanted to introduce or expand their financial wellness program in 2015. So definitely there's a need there. Employees are asking for it. Many employers are responding to that need. But isn't it interesting when you think about how much employers already do for employees in the realm of finances? Aren't they our number one source of income? That's where we get, oh, sweet. That's not fun. Okay, hang on just a second. Good thing I don't have any more quizzes. Or else you would have seen all the answers. Okay. We good? So, number one source of income. Employers are providing us our income. They're also the number one source of our investments in most cases. They're the ones giving us investment advice, oftentimes even giving us 100% return on our investment with a dollar for dollar match in many 401k plans. It's impressive. They're also providing our health insurance and other benefits. They're already doing a lot. So what's the disconnect? If employers are already doing so much and yet employees, 40% of them are saying, man, I need some help with this financial security stuff. And only 6% are saying my employer's doing something. What's the missing piece? All right, it's education. That's the missing piece. I would submit that a robust financial wellness program that doesn't only educate, here's what a budget is, that doesn't only teach but actually inspires us to make change is the key. That's the missing piece. And research has actually found what an effective financial wellness program actually looks like. One of the key things to know is it's so much more than, if I can get that one to go, more than just a 401k presentation. Employers are often relying on the 401k company to come in and advise. And it's usually on 401k, and that's great. But for the person who's drowning in debt or trying to figure out how to pay for their kids' education, or they just got denied a loan for a house because they have a bad credit score, it's like, no sort of dollar for dollar match is going to keep them coming, right? Is going to make them sign up. So there's a lot of research on what an effective financial wellness program looks like. Here's some of the components. I won't go into a lot of detail here. In fact, that's what in your breakout sessions you'll discuss this a little bit more. But a great financial wellness program includes some of those things on the left. An initial financial wellness assessment. A time to actually say, okay, let's step on the scale, see where we're at, see what we can improve, get the truth about our situation. The cool thing about that, though, is oftentimes we realize, I've actually done some of this. I already got that will done a couple years ago. Check. I'm doing some of this. You get some credit for what you've already done. But on top of that, it's not just the 401k. It's education on budgeting, tracking your expenses, some goal planning, credit score management, how to buy a house, how much house you can afford, even more things that are on that list. Part of that is the financial goal setting and tailoring it to the individual. Again, not just a one-size-fits-all approach, but saying, well, what do you need help with? Where are you at in life? You want to buy a house. Great. Here are the steps to get there. Also, incentives for behavior change is a key component to effective programs. And it's also important that these programs connect to the benefits that you already have at your company. So it's going to connect in with your your physical and other well-being programs. It connects with your EAP or your employee assistance programs, part of your total rewards. You even want to include it in your recruiting and onboarding process. Again, there's a lot of research that shows what makes up an effective financial wellness program. But again, one of the most key important elements is that the focus of that program, again, is on the individual and not just some product or some program or some methodology. It's identifying what's most important to this person at this time. What's the stress for them financially right now? And identifying that and mitigating that stress. And when effective programs are run, it's amazing the benefits that come. Everyone benefits. Not only is that going to benefit the employee, definitely, the stress is going to go down, but that's going to return great dividends to the employer. You'll see benefits as far as increased engagement, productivity, as well as increased loyalty, trust and goodwill, which has a direct impact on the bottom line and profitability, of course. And increased appreciation and participation in your actual benefits. Again, when you think about it, employers are already investing a lot of time, resources, money, and effort into your current benefits programs. When employers understand now where they're at with their money, they're going to participate better in those benefits. They're going to take better advantage of those. Also, another benefit is decreased 401k loans and garnishments, decreased workload for some of the HR team, and again, that stress goes down. But the biggest thing for me and why I love personal finance is seeing the impact that it really makes in people's lives. These stats are cool. I love, learning about the impact of these programs. But my favorite thing is when you hear employees say things like, "This program saved my marriage. I finally have hope." This person from a program said, "I'm so grateful to work for a company that truly cares about their employees." That's the kind of quotes we want to be hearing. And this one's my favorite by far. It says, "There's a light at the end of the tunnel. With these principles now in my life, my family will have a brighter future. Thank you." I love hearing quotes like that. I truly believe that the future is bright when it comes to finance education and financial well-being, especially in the workplace. And so with that, I'd like to turn the time back to Ken to talk about what SunTrust did with their teammates with their financial wellness program.
Thanks, Drew. If you'll join me in thanking Drew for his passionate overview. Drew facilitates the boot camps that we do for our teammates at SunTrust, and so talking about our budgets and how do we improve our credit scores, and it's really taken off at the company. So thanks, Drew. Before I bring Catherine Bruni out to talk about the what and the how of our financial fitness program, and again, you'll see the passion in Catherine as well, as she's actually the catalyst for the development of our financial fitness program. It's pretty exciting. I want to give you a little bit of the why. First, I'll give you a quick paid public announcement since I have you here. But you know, at SunTrust, we're a purpose-driven company, and our focus and how we see the ways to improve lives is through really lighting the way to financial well-being, helping build financial confidence for our clients. And so I'd like to say that our financial fitness program came about with intent, and it was intentional. However, it actually was serendipitous how it came about. So as we were starting our journey about 3 years ago, focusing on our clients, as part of our engagement survey, we asked our teammates, how are you feeling about your financial confidence? And what we found is that our teammates were not that much more effective at dealing with their financial challenges than we are hearing from our clients. And so a light bulb went out in our organization and with our teammates and leadership team, saying that we have an opportunity and we need to start at SunTrust and start with our teammates. And so as a result, we put together a program that focused and gave them time to look at their finances, some tools, and then actually some financial incentives and contributions. And so Catherine's going to come out and share the what and how they work, and it's pretty exciting. But the other why, and you know, Drew put some quotes up there. I just want to read you a quick memo from one of our teammates, because the exciting thing about this for me is, any of you that are heads of HR in the HR function know we get a lot of letters from teammates and employees, and they aren't always giving love to us. So when I get these, I really enjoy them. And we introduced this program just over a year ago, and I actually get these letters of love almost on a weekly basis. Now, I still get my other letters, but this balances them out. And so I just want to read a quick, and it's a long letter, so it would take the rest of the session, but it gives the flavor of why this is important. My journey with money has been a long one. It really wasn't until I came to SunTrust 16 years ago that I became aware of how I could empower myself in relation to money. I'm going to skip towards the next paragraph. SunTrust has started a financial well-being website, and I thank you. I continue to visit it regularly. But it wasn't until the 8 Pillars program, and you'll hear more about that shortly, came along that I really became passionate about managing money. And SunTrust was going to give me money for going through all 8 pillars. I dove into the program, and I discovered that I was very good in some areas, but needed to add to my knowledge in others. My money confidence began to grow. Then SunTrust offered 2 more opportunities. I talked about the boot camps, and we also offer financial and credit counseling to our teammates. Given the grim statistics around financial struggles in America, and Drew shared some of them, there's even more that are equally painful, it makes sense that we should be concerned about the financial health of our clients. I'm impressed with SunTrust for taking the lead to help people achieve financial greatness with teammates first. And here's the important part for those of us and employers in the workplace. I'm grateful to SunTrust for being a partner, for walking with me on my own journey towards financial well-being. So that's the why this is important and how it can make things better. So let me share with you the catalyst for us being able to put this program together with some more details. Catherine Bruni.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken, and that letter just gets to me. And I have the luxury of managing our inbox for the program, which we set up to answer any questions that you have. How can we help you with your user ID? Those types of questions. And balanced, I was surprised, but the responses and the emails that we get in there are balanced of help me with my password, and by the way, let me tell you my personal journey. And that gets me up every single day. And I think that's such an honor to be able to help those individuals read those stories every day. So as Ken mentioned, our purpose as an organization is lighting the way to financial well-being. And we realized that purpose about 3 years ago. And if anybody's ever gone through that journey of moving from, mission into a purpose organization, that's not something that happens overnight. It takes time, and it takes behavior change, and it takes really winning the hearts and the minds of your employees in doing that. And so we've been on this journey. We realized that our employees were not doing any better than the general population on their personal finances. We had to fix that. If we were going to claim this as our purpose, we had to be better. And so we did. And we went out to the marketplace and we said, what are people doing in this space? What are employers doing? What are some of the vendors that are out there? And we had really 4 things that we were looking for and that we were aligning to when we went out to assess the market. One is we wanted to make sure that we were aligned with our purpose. I think we've driven that point home. 2, we were looking for behavior change. It would have been easy to bring in just an education vendor or just a system or just a app. But we knew we actually wanted to create action from our teammates. We wanted to make sure that when we went back a year from now that they were in a different place. The third thing is skin in the game. And that ties very closely to the behavior change. We knew that if they didn't see this as an investment in themselves and felt a little bit of pain, and I use that in a very nice term, but a little bit of pain, that this would have just been another program that we put out there. The 4th element is actually very personal to me, and it's tying it to the family. And I think about this in a couple of ways. So first, who's the CFO in their household? I see a couple hands in the audience. Who's not the CFO in their household? Yes, exactly. We knew that not all of our employees were the CFOs of their household. And yet if we were only providing information and asking them to change, that would not be success. 2, I think about this think about a lot of our fun things like Fitbit. Who has a Fitbit or a other kind of tracker? It's kind of fun to see how you're doing compared to your friends, right? But it's good to have that motivation and that community that's helping you as you're on your journey. And third, I think about finances and how we learn. So I model my behaviors because I saw my parents and what they did. I know when we think about Operation Hope and some of the work that's happening, we are trying to change that, and we're trying to create education opportunities for young people. But that's not happening across the world yet. And so how can we provide a program that is applicable for the family so that when I get quotes, this is fantastic, I have leaders that say, I wish I had this 30 years ago. And you know what? I'm going to go teach my adult children what you taught me today because I want them to not have to say that in 30 years and learn the lesson. So those were the 4 things that we went to market with, and we found a fantastic vendor, one that was aligned with our purpose, that believed in what we believed in, and we stood up a program. And the program is based on 3 elements. 1 is education, because education's key. 2 is action, and the 3rd one was a financial commitment. And if you all 3 of these elements, then SunTrust was going to pay you, as that email said. And that was how we would see success over time. So first, education. We wanted something that was available 24/7, off our network, when you were home with your families, when you were taking a lunch break, something that was always available. We wanted something progressive that really covered everything. So not just 401k, as Drew said, or not just insurance, but really was comprehensive. 2 key facts. First is we start with your values. What do you value? When you think about some of the conflicts, if you're in a relationship, some of the fights are over what you spend money on, but a lot of that's based on what you're valuing. And if you haven't had that had that conversation or appreciation for what your counterpart values, we start to see a lot of conflict, right? So values is one of our key elements that we start from. The second one is emergency savings. So when I going back to those in the matrix, appearing are hope and confidence. That's what our employees are receiving from the program, hope and confidence. And I don't just say that because we're sitting here at an Operation Hope Forum, but because those truly are, we are inspiring hope and confidence for our employees. And so, anyway, that's education for us. Action, number 2. So when we talk about that behavior change, how do you get people to act? We require that they complete a series of activities over a course, a period of time. So things, we start with committing your values to paper. We then talk about creating your budget. And we don't say this is what your budget has to look like, but we say create the budget for you. Have the conversation with your family, with your loved ones, create that budget that works for you. We don't inspect it, we don't see how you manage to your budget, but we ask that you commit to writing the budget. Calculate your net worth. This was the first time that many people have ever calculated their net worth or even understood what that meant, what that value was. And then monitor it over time. Fascinating to see that number change for the positive, right? That's powerful. And then we start to get into some more, I'd say, tougher homework, if you will. We ask them to do things like volunteer in your community because we believe that giving back is part of having financial confidence and control. We talk about assessing your insurance, auto, home, life. We talk about assessing your estate planning options and wills. Activities that you have to go through over a series of time. My favorite one that we require is to take your day of purpose. So Day of Purpose is something that's unique to SunTrust. We've done this now for going on 4 years, I believe. And this is one out of your vacation, outside time, outside of any other out-of-office time that we pay every employee to take. And it's 8 hours that they can go and work on their own personal financial well-being because we believe that that is so important. And they do it. And we don't say how you do it because how I take my day and how you take your day will be very different because we're in different places, right? But we hear great things like, I took my child to the bank and opened up a savings account. I sat with my parents. I took mine last year and closed on home, and that was a great. And so we were activities. The third part that I talked about was the financial commitment. And so I think you got the gist. We pay an incentive in the end. But in order for you to do that, the financial commitment on your side was, one, we just want you to open up an emergency savings account, a separate account. It's not one that you're diving into on Saturday night when you need a couple extra bucks. No, this is truly for emergencies. And my favorite part is we didn't even say where you had to open up that account. And I thought that that was such a powerful message because I know that question's probably popping up in somebody's head right now. So open up an emergency savings account and put $100 in it. And, for a lot of us in the room, $100 is, okay, that we can do that. But for a lot of people, it was hard. I received some personal, how do you think I'm going to come up with $100? And I said, it's your money and you're investing it in yourself. You decide. And they did it. And the second phase, we require that they do a $20 automated deposit into their account. And so what we're trying to do is create that muscle, right? And we asked them to do that for 12 months. And on that 13th month, I hope they don't turn it off because they've seen that balance grow. They're seeing that net worth grow. They're seeing those numbers. And so we're creating that hope, right? That confidence. So I'm going to just finish up here. Ken touched on one other element that we do provide. And about halfway through the program, we said, we're doing really good stuff. We're doing great work. But we have a couple teammates that are in crisis, that this is so unmanageable for them. And so we partnered with a third-party nonprofit and brought in a financial counseling service as well. And that's been a great augment to what we're delivering because we do have people like that. I mean, and that is such a scary place to be. And so having the vetted They're putting the trust in SunTrust that we have vetted a great partner for them, and we've given them that resource. Just a couple quick success stats, because now you're probably wondering, okay, so how's this working out, right? So in the first year, we paid $3 million to our employees to put into their emergency savings accounts. We had over 7,500, thank you. We had over 7,500 teammates that made it through the first phase, which was phenomenal. And that was, I don't even have words to explain how proud I am of that. We've had, we're now announcing some even new modifications to the program as we continue to grow. We've had just phenomenal, like you've heard me say, stories that come in, stories that come to Ken, stories that come to my counterpart, just goodwill that we've grown in the organization. We've seen that we have in our latest engagement survey, because remember, that's what actually kicked a lot of this off, right? 75% of our employees say that they're on the path to greater well-being. That felt good. That felt great when we were coming from, it was from something much more dismal before that. And some other fun things, we've got 73% are taking steps to improve their credit score, and 70% of them are following a budget for the first time. Pretty cool stuff. So I've got more things. I could stand up here and read you my paper, but I won't. I will go ahead and pass it on to Rob, and he's going to share with you a little bit about the Hyatt organization and what they're doing. Oh, we didn't get in it.
I just have to explain why I'm in Atlanta. So this will help. Good morning. It's great to be with you. It's not as great to be with you in a Marriott, but it's good to be here. It's okay. They're a very fine company. So what's Hyatt up to? What are we doing? First of all, I wake up every morning worrying about 100,000 people that work for us who are entirely, they're 100% of delivering our brand every day in every interaction with people like you. It doesn't matter what I do in Chicago. It just doesn't. I'm not there, I'm not facing that person. I'm not there helping them. And we too, there's some parallels with SunTrust, we too are a purpose-driven company. And can you just click to this looks really easy. We care for people so they can be their best. Now, okay, we argued over these words for 2 years. It was like, should it be the human spirit? No, spirit's kind of weird. People don't like spirit. It doesn't play in my country as well. It's like scary stuff. This means that we have to actually understand each and every guest in each and every moment. Because this doesn't mean make you happy. This doesn't mean make sure the coffee's hot. Because you could be staying in one of our hotels because you're here at a John Hope Bryant Fest. Or it could be that you're here for a wedding, or a political event, or a funeral, or it may be the first time, there may be people here at this meeting, and it's the first time that they've left their new baby at home alone for the first time. And that's really challenging for them. So we need to show empathy to understand you as an individual, and then to care for you in that moment. Well, if we don't first care for the 100,000 people that wake up every morning to come in and serve our guests, how can we expect those people to suddenly care for you? Some perhaps would, because they're just incredibly strong, good people. It's that servant leadership orientation. So what we're doing is we're looking at our workforce, as we have for a long time, also about engagement. This morning there was a very nice Marriott employee who walked by. I was looking to see where this room was, and she stopped and just said, you look puzzled, can I help you? That was a discretionary behavior. She didn't have to do that. She just stopped. She said, how can I help you? Now, for all I know, she's worried about financial issues, health issues, who knows what. But for me, she was others-oriented. So what we're trying to do is, and we're going to start it in Atlanta, we're going to take the notion of what Hope does and not provide it in the community. We're going to provide it to our workforce so that we can help them understand financial well-being. Because guess what? They're also going home and they have families. So we're going to help them develop a language that they can then pass on, hit a couple of generations at the same time, and just demonstrate that we actually care about you. And if I was thinking about it yesterday, I forget who was speaking in the session, and they talked about disruption. You know, we're always talking about disruption in the sectors, or with us, people will say, well, Airbnb is disrupting you. You know who else can disrupt us is our workforce. There's internal disruption. Well, we should be able to handle internal disruption. Sometimes the external is a little tougher, but my goodness, we've got all of these people that we can do something with. So we're helping them with things like basic financial literacy. We're helping them with disaster preparedness. Because when you're in a hotel, something goes wrong, everyone in that hotel is taking care of you. What about their families? Do they have a plan? When Sandy hit New York, did our employees have a plan with their families that said, here's where we meet, here's where cash is, here's prescriptions, we have all. No, they're there taking care of you, and then they've got families to worry about. So we want to be proactive. We want to care for them so that they can be their best to come to work and then help you be your best. So it's as simple as that. It's as hard as that. We're doing other things as well with the community. We're partnering with the Khan Academy to actually do work in the community with kids in school. So we're starting there. And then we're going to start to use hotels as places where children can come. It's safe. It gives them the chance to come into a different environment where there's a learning lab, where you can come and there's access to the internet and you can do your Khan studies there and so forth, and meet some people in the community, because we've dealt with, I have, in the south side of Chicago, a lot of kids who've never set foot in a hotel. So they don't know what's possible. So those are just a couple of the things. I could go on and on. I want to give you your time for breakout, but it comes back to caring for people so they can be their best. I think that's probably why everybody is at this conference. So happy to talk to anyone afterwards, but that gives you a flavor of what one company's doing, taking Hope Inside and twisting a little bit to deal with the workforce. Thank you.
5 minutes, is that what that's? Minutes? Woo! Well, we want to give you a chance now to discuss amongst yourselves. Let me put this slide up here, and if it's 5 minutes, it's less than I was expecting. Let's split you in two groups. So everybody kind of on this side of the line, handle group one, where we're going to talk about structure and culture. Those questions as far as how do we get a financial wellness program in place, and what are the structural and cultural elements of that. This side is group two, where you're going to address these questions that are coming around on the handout. Challenges and sustainability. What are the challenges and sustainability? If one person from your table can act as a scribe, if we have time at the end, we'd love to get one thought from each of the tables as well.
We don't have a lot of time, so
Group shot
Okay.
before.
since we started a little late, so you've got some time to play with this. It's not as tight, but just to keep
Okay. Good. Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
While you guys get a high level of engagement,
Yeah.
that was pretty inspirational.
Thank you.
You doing all right?
Yeah, doing great.
Great.
It's great to see you. So you're here for the whole thing?
Well, I was here. I had our board's meeting this week. I had two committee meetings yesterday
Right.
that I had to not be here for, but I'll
Okay.
be here all day today.
Great.
There's something tomorrow, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So I'll be with that
Yeah.
too. Good
Thanks.
To see
Good to see you too.
Thanks for your presentation.
Yeah.
How many people walk up I'm Chris Harper. I'm doing great. Glad to see you.
Maybe what we do, he wants a quick group shot.
Okay. Okay.
It depends on the property.
Let's get a quick group shot.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
And then,
Let's bring you right over here in front of the Got it?
Just take it up.
do you want them to send it anywhere? Take it with them? Or, I think we just let them take it with them and close it out because they're trying to,
Stay on time.
yeah, anything particular. I thought I'd just thank them and keep the focus and hopefully it was helpful for them. Good job.
Okay. Yeah, that's so too. So you'll take it from here.
I'll just close it out
Okay.
here.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah.
I apologize. I thought it was 11:30.
They
She's.
started late and they're finishing on time.
Yeah.
She just barely said we could have a little bit more time if we wanted it, but
Yeah.
They're going to a coffee break.
yeah. Okay.
I don't want you to miss lunch. Usually I get put in front of lunch and I kind of get accused of not getting people out. So we're going to keep this pretty informal. Hopefully you've been able to make some connections at your table and keep the discussions alive around how do we make the workplace, how do we make the employment environment a better place for the whole being of the teammate, particularly around financial wellness and well-being. So thanks for coming. Thanks for participating. Take your ideas and make good things happen. So thank you.